is now time to know more about the genius behind the man. We are very fortunate to have two special guests who will enlighten us in this area. Our first guest is a professor of art history at the UP College of Fine Arts. He has written books and essays on Philippine art in the Spanish colonial period to the World War II years. In 1992, he was the first recipient of the Purita Calo Ledesma Professional Chair for Art History. He is well known for his art historical studies. His essays, perhaps the first serious reconstructions of the history of the Philippine colonial painting, have appeared in Archipelago, Orientations, Filipino Heritage, and Pamana, as well as the well-received book Juan Luna, The Filipino as a Painter, published by the Lopez Museum. Our guest is a professor of colonial art history at the Graduate School of the University of the Philippines. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Santiago Albano Pilar. And our second guest will give us the most professional and institutional insight into the paintings of Juan Luna. With her passion for the arts and culture, she seeks to instill a sense of cultural heritage in a younger generation of Filipinos. I guess we're still included there, right? We're still the younger, all of us, including the city, of course. And she's using the family's media outlets to promote awareness, being the Vice President of the Logistics Division of ABS-CBN Broadcasting Corporation. As the Executive Director of the Lopez Memorial Museum, which has more than 21,000 collection books, 539 works of fine art, and 89 pieces of pottery, she nourishes the Filipino soul as these collections are explored through exhibitions, lectures, and workshops open to the general public. She spearheaded the digitalization of the extensive Filipiniana collection of the museum, as well as the modernization of the Roberto M. Lopez Conservation Center, which is into preservation of rare and historical archival documents, as well as the restoration of valuable artworks. She is affiliated with the Philippine Art Awards and the Museum Foundation of the Philippines. Very nice CV. Okay, let us welcome Ms. Cedie Lopez Vargas. We'll make this light and casual, right, sir? Okay, so maybe my first question will go to you. What sets Juan Luna apart from other Philippine and international visual artists? What was his style technical or typical during his time?
He was really a miracle, actually, in the history of the Philippines, because we were colonized. Therefore, our colonial masters looked down on the Indio. But Luna came and penetrated Europe and won awards there. That award-winning Spoliarium, which earned him a first prize for gold medal, the first Asian to win a gold medal in Europe, unknown, a student there, also won gold medal in Paris when Luna brought it to Paris later on. So that Luna was not just recognized in Madrid, but he was also recognized in Paris, and towards the end of his life, he was admitted as a member of the Société Nationale de Beaux-Arts, meaning to say that the National Art Society of France also accepted him as a member. In other words, he revolved among the celebrities of art in Europe at that time. Well,
So sir, was the art though that he did typical of that time, or did they find it so different and so unique that this is why they gave him all of these accolades?
actually, he was painting in a style that was conservative. It was a style that was already becoming passé, because the Impressionists, Renoir, Monet, they belonged to a young generation and who were tired of painting already Roman scenes. Luna specialized in the painting of history, and the Europeans emphasized history because, you know, at that time, of course, 90% of the people in Europe were also ignorant. They could not read. Therefore, paintings were essential for learning. And that type of learning was what precisely educated the Europeans to enjoy museum visiting.
Well, sir, he was considered a master. What classifies a master? What gave him that right to be called a master?
Well, a master should really know what he's doing. That's the master. In other words, whatever he does, he is an authority of it, and he will be recognized for it. In other words, he has perfected, in the case of an artist, a painter, a musician, his technique, and can use the technique to resolve certain artistic matters, composition, new subjects. Luna could use that very well. In fact, when he painted, he already had what he was in mind. I mean to say, of course, the artists of those times always painted studies, but when they went to that particular painting for the finished work, then he already knew how the outcome of his work and could resolve the other parts of the problems of composition eventually as he finishes it. So a master is a master of both. He has to have imagination, and at the same time he has to have the skill or the technique to express that imagination. And I'd like to congratulate the designers of Freeway because they just made the works of Juan Luna so relevant today. They are also geniuses.
Well, that deserves a round of applause, doesn't it? They turned red. Look at, she's blushing.
But it's true. You know how you resolve, I mean, I did not know what to expect. Like, Luna? And how will they use the designs or the paintings of Juan Luna for, wow. I was enjoying it.
The models, sir, or the dresses? But what is it about Luna that won all of these awards? Was it the technique? Was it the vision? Was it both?
I would also like to say that fortune also, I mean, you know, God smiles on you. You were the chosen one. Because so many people are trying hard. They may have also, I mean, even more talent. But then Luna came into the picture and was chosen to exemplify the humble in you. In other words, there was something there. I believe in God, and that is why I believe also that certain people are chosen to resolve matters at a particular time.
So, sir, I know that you know a lot about Juan Luna's life. Maybe there are some interesting tidbits that you can share with everybody. Like, I was trying to read up on him quickly last night. He was a sailor before he was an artist, or a seaman. Yes, that's the right term.
He was an overseas worker.
He was the first original OFW, sir.
He was a marino.
And what else, sir? Are there any other interesting facts that you can share with us that maybe will give us a window into who the man was as a painter and as a person?
Well, actually, his family was also very musically inclined. I suppose that helped. I mean, that's the temperament of the artist. And aside from that, well, of course, he was nationalistic. I mean, the Indios at the time were they really wanted to assert themselves that they are as good as the Puti. And so they exerted their efforts. I mean, they perfected what they had to do because they wanted to show the people of Europe that they could also, they mastered really the arts and the skills that were taught to them.
Well, fast forward to today, sir, with, you know, what we have out there, DVDs, piracy. There are also works of art that sort of get plagiarized. Have you had to do anything in terms of authentication for Juan Luna's works?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'm learning a lot from what they bring, from both the fakes and the authentic paintings that are still in Europe, particularly those that are discovered in Europe, because we have to think that he lived for 14 years. So that those pieces that come from Europe right now have to explain in terms of when did he do it. And And then of course you have to be a master. I mean, you have to know exactly how they painted, what colors they use. I mean, you use both science and artistic imagination to reconstruct, because the art historian reconstructs history. That's why I always keep saying, use your historical imagination. The pieces that are here are not just the pieces of Luna. He lived for 14 years in Europe. We don't know those 14 years because at that time, I mean, for an Indio, would he get published? Would they publish all his works? He wouldn't even merit publication, except when he won the Spoliarium. So we don't know, and so we have to learn from what comes in, what are brought from Europe, and there are a lot coming.
Okay, well, from the artists today, sir, because we have a lot of good artists in the Philippines, do you see anyone with particular talent, perhaps like a Juan Luna, who can revolutionize the art scene again?
I cannot judge. I mean, you know, I'm partial to the...
You're a diplomat, sir.
For the art, I'm really partial to the past. That's why when living artists ask me to write about them, I just say, to be safe, I only write about dead artists.
Okay, sir, perhaps one more question before we move over to Cedie. There are a lot of interests. Of course, now everyone's interested in art, it seems. Of course, the Chinese and the Indonesian collectors will pay a lot. Philippine art factors into that, yes?
Yes, of course. I mean, we have to. We are part of Asia. We belong, we furnish also parts of Asian heritage, and that is also what we should emphasize. We should not emphasize anymore our being Filipino. I mean, if we have to go global, then we are Asians. In fact, the most recent concept is the Austronesian. We have to look for our ancestors. Because linguistics is telling us that we were not Malayans or we are not Indonesians. We are Austronesians. We have to look for our ancestors. They came, anthropologists, archaeologists say that our ancestors came from mainland Asia, from Vietnam, that area, in the Chinese area, or Taipei. And the Austronesians, in fact, reached up to Madagascar. So in Africa, who also know the Tagalog way of counting, they have Tagalog words there. So these Austronesians went through the Philippines, Indonesia, Polynesia, and then reached up to Africa. That is the current trend. We are trying to resurrect or find who are our ancestors through our language.
Thank you very much for all of those insights, sir. We'll move over to Cedie for a while. Yes, we did it. But you know, it's interesting to learn new things every day, right? That's what we're here for. At this point, Cedie, what would you think is the most valuable painting in the lot? You have a microphone, don't be shy. Don't leave me alone with the mic. And is it because of the value or maybe because of the history of the piece?
I don't think I have a particular favorite.
You're another diplomat.
The entire collection. Just because it's something that's, not just valuable, but sentimental. It's connected by my grandfather. He put it together with the intention of telling Philippine history. The story of Philippine history as his own. That's what makes it valuable as a professor.
But are you also the type who prefers the past in terms of paintings? And how do you see that a work of art at this point? It's difficult to say, right? Because, well, everyone has their own preferences. Who prefers contemporary art? Can I see a show of hands, perhaps? Don't worry, you don't have to have a favorite in Juan Luna tonight. If you have a contemporary favorite, perhaps, show of hands, does anyone prefer the past or the present? Present first, present. Okay, at least you're being honest. The past? Everyone here is a fan of the past. Okay. But how do you see that once...
Consider this, we are contemporizing.
Yes, technically it's already contemporary. But how do you feel that an artist perhaps appreciates? What are the characteristics that the artist has to have?
I guess to be general about it, I think the artist, first of all, must be sincere. Everyone would agree with that. In what he expresses, and he just has to be true to his art. I think that's really it.
Okay, a show of hands. Is anyone an art collector here? Again, don't be shy. But perhaps you're a more seasoned art collector. Maybe for someone who'd like to start out, where do they begin?
That's what we think. You begin with something that speaks to you. Something that draws you. Yes, art in the park and ma-arte. No, but it has to be something that appeals to you, that speaks.
How does it speak to you though? Because sometimes you find so many that you like, and then you're wondering, how do I, make a narrow search? But you have to know that you have the money for it also. That's the problem. Unfortunately. But we have a lot of contemporary artists though who are coming up in the world and they're doing very well and they're reasonable. And I guess this is a good way of getting the youth into art. And why is it part of your mission to get the youth involved?
I always feel that artists or the masters like Luna or Hidalgo, for that matter, this entire collection of books, the archives, the map, have something to teach future generations or the succeeding generations. But we have to be able to do it in a way that will engage them. And so I did make
sort of like this?
Yes.
Yes?
To find ways to be able to make whatever is old and archival relevant to the younger generation, to children, grandchildren. And so with that, I'd like to congratulate the parents of Sherry and Catherine for having children who brought, who made an advocacy out of making art relevant to the younger generation.
I think that deserves a round of applause as well. So maybe Cedie, a parting shot to those who are younger in the crowd and would like to get involved in art. What is the first step for them? Do they just visit the museums? I think Marites has something to say as well. Start buying the clothes apart from that.
Buying the clothes, yeah. It's always a good step to spend time in the museums and steep yourselves in sculpture, art, to hone your artistic sensitivity.
Okay, and Mr. Pilar, maybe we can have a parting shot from you. Just something to leave the audience with about Juan Luna. Maybe what he was about or how he can remain relevant in today's world.
The people of the past, they tell the story of how our ancestors lived. In other words, they also symbolize us. In other words, heritage is very important. They define you. I always tell my students, heritage is what makes you. In other words, the other countries look at people from other countries also according to their achievements. So that if they see the good things, the beautiful things that your ancestors made, they will also respect you. So we have to preserve our heritage. And through the contemporary way, because we can always live with all these paintings. It's important to know the heritage. It will also make your mind work. History is difficult and it's boring according to some. But then, if you think history, then it stimulates your mind. I mean to say, you are not just functioning mechanically, you're also thinking.
Well spoken, right? Such an honor to meet you today, sir. A round of applause, please, for Mr. Pilar and Ms. Cedie Lopez. Thank you very much.